The movie kicks off with Charlie Heller, sleeves rolled up, working on an antique plane. He's focused, meticulous, lost in the hum of restoration. Then Sarah, his wife, strolls in and asks for a cup of coffee before heading out. She's flying to London for a 5-day business trip and invites Charlie to join her. He declines work calls, but he promises to come next time. Once Sarah leaves, Charlie heads to his real job at CIA quarters. He's a cryptographer, and the building is loaded with high-tech security, surveillance cameras that scan every item employees carry. Inside his office, Charlie connects with Inquilin, a mysterious source who's been feeding him intel for 5 years. Charlie suspects Inquilin is a middle-aged man in Istanbul, but Inquilin shoots that theory down. He sends over classified files and warns Charlie to open them only when he's completely alone. While decrypting the data, Charlie gets a call from Sarah. She's landed safely in London. She tries to chat, but he's buried in work and cuts the call short. Hours later, he cracks the file open, and what he finds is explosive. His boss, Alex Moore, has been disguising politically driven drone strikes as terrorist attacks. Shaken, Charlie confides in a colleague, admitting he accessed Forbidden's files and uncovered something horrifying. But the colleague urges silence. Someone might be listening. That night, Charlie tries calling Sarah again. No answer. The next morning, Moore is snooping around Charlie's workspace. Red flags everywhere. Moore leads him to CIA Director Samantha, who drops a bombshell. A terrorist attack just hit a London hotel. Charlie's heart stops. Sarah was staying there. She was assassinated in the chaos. Samantha shows him footage Sarah being subdued by terrorists. Charlie's world shatters. Days pass. Charlie is drowning in grief, pretending to function. But eventually he snaps out of it and starts digging into the attack. He meets with Moore and CIA Supervisor Caleb, revealing the names of the terrorists: Misha Blick, Elish, Gretchen, Frank and Horst Schiller, the leader who pulled the trigger on Sarah. Surveillance shows Sarah died protecting another woman during the hostage crisis. Charlie tracks Gretchen and Frank to Paris and urges immediate action. But Moore and Caleb aren't surprised. They already knew. They claim Sarah's death wasn't personal, just collateral damage in a national security operation. They promise justice, but when Charlie questions their motives, they suggest he's mentally unstable and push for psychiatric evaluation. Charlie refuses to back down. Days later, he confronts Moore and Caleb again. This time, he accuses them of orchestrating bombings that killed innocent civilians. Moore calls him a liar, but Charlie stands firm. He threatens to expose everything unless they cooperate. He set up a dead man switch. If he doesn't enter a code every 5 hours, the evidence goes public. Cornered, Moore and Caleb agree to negotiate. Charlie demands CIA training. He wants to hunt down the terrorists himself. Moore laughs, saying he couldn't even fight a 90-year-old woman, but Charlie won't budge. Later, Moore and Caleb debate whether Charlie's bluffing. Either way, they decide to give him the training and kill him once they find the files. Charlie is sent to the CIA training center where Colonel Robert Henderson takes over. Meanwhile, Moore's agents tear apart Charlie's office, his home, even a bar he used to visit. Nothing. Training is brutal. Charlie can't aim, can't shoot. He's terrified of pulling the trigger. One night, Henderson hands him a gun and tells him he's not a killer. Charlie freezes. Henderson warns him, "You won't survive against trained terrorists. Quit before it's too late." Elsewhere, Moore finally finds something, a bug planted in his office. Charlie's been listening all along. The dead man's switch, a bluff? Furious, Moore calls Henderson and orders him to eliminate Charlie. But when Henderson reaches his room, Charlie's gone. Cut to Charlie aboard a flight, lost in memory. He recalls Sarah surprising him with the antique plane for his birthday. It didn't work, but he promised to fix it. He planned to fly her in it when she returned, but she never did. Charlie lands in Paris, eyes sharp and heart heavy. He begins tailing Gretchen and Frank, two of the terrorists tied to Sarah's death. One evening, while Gretchen is out, he breaks into her apartment and finds a clinic appointment card and a loaded gun. He pockets the weapon, but just as he's about to leave, Gretchen returns. Charlie hides on the stairwell above, gun in hand, ready to fire, but when the moment comes, he freezes. He can't do it. The next day, Charlie is more focused, more dangerous. He sneaks into the clinic where Gretchen is getting a checkup. When the doctors step out, he locks her inside a hyperbaric chamber filled with pollen. She gasps for air, panicking, demanding to know what he wants. Charlie asks for Horst Schiller's location. She claims ignorance, he doesn't buy it. She tries to speak, but the pollen overwhelms her. Charlie finally releases her, but she fights back and escapes. On the street, Charlie raises his gun again, but before he can shoot, a speeding car slams into Gretchen. Instant death. Stunned, Charlie snatches her phone and vanishes into the crowd. He flees to Marseille to lay low. Meanwhile, the CIA learns of Gretchen's death. Samantha grills Moore. Did his agents do this? Moore denies everything, blaming Gretchen's own people. But Samantha isn't convinced. Charlie, haunted by memories of Sarah, heads to a nightclub to drown his pain. He spirals drugs, alcohol, hallucinations. Then bam! He spots Henderson in the crowd. Panic surges. Charlie bolts to the bathroom, no exit. He returns to the bar and sits with Henderson, who's eerily calm. Henderson says he tracked Charlie using Gretchen's phone and warns him to stop before it's too late. Charlie replies, "I've got nothing left." Then click. He shows a timer on his phone. Seconds later, a bomb explodes in the bathroom. Chaos erupts. Charlie slips away in the madness. He contacts Inquilin, begging for help. This time, Inquilin confirms they're in Istanbul and arranges a meeting. Charlie arrives at a restaurant and spots a man checking his phone he is about to approach when a woman stops him. "I'm Inquilin," she says. She introduces herself as Davies. Her late husband was a KGB officer, the original Inquilin. He taught her everything: encryption, survival, deep system navigation. After his death, she kept the line open with Charlie's department just in case. Davies takes Charlie to her secret hideout on the city's edge, where she's lived off-grid for 3 years. Charlie shares his story: Sarah's death, the terrorist network, but Davies already knows. She agrees to help. Charlie explains Schiller's crew, armed smugglers fueling Moore's covert ops. Elish handles weapons but is paranoid. Davies offers to pose as a buyer to lure him out. Then there's Mishka Blick, the weak link. He's constantly posting travel pics online. They track his girlfriend and learn the couple's in Madrid. Charlie heads there. Meanwhile, Samantha's suspicions grow. She demands Moore stop running covert missions without her approval. He stonewalls. Later, her assistant shows her footage Henderson is in Spain. Moore sent him. Furious, Samantha dispatches her own agent. Charlie checks into Blick's hotel and learns he swims alone at the rooftop pool each night. Davies, monitoring remotely, urges him to take the shot from the balcony. But Charlie hesitates. He's no marksman. At the bar, he spots a man watching him too closely. CIA, Davies warns him. Henderson's here too. She advises retreat, but Charlie presses on. He confronts Blick at the pool, asking about Schiller. Blick laughs, thinks it's a joke. Charlie reveals he's rigged the pool to decompress the glass. One push and it shatters. Blick panics, claiming Schiller vanished weeks ago. Charlie, fed up, activates the device. The pool cracks. Blick plunges to his death. Guests scream as chaos erupts. Charlie bolts. Henderson and the agent chase him. Davies hacks hotel cameras, guiding Charlie through escape routes. Henderson clashes with the agent. Gunfire. The agent dies. Henderson is wounded. Charlie sees it all but runs. He can't risk capture. Next day, Caleb and his team review footage. They spot Charlie's earpiece. He's communicating. They trace his encrypted chats to Inquilin. But the real Inquilin is dead. That means his wife is behind it now? Days later, Charlie and Davies lie together, seeking comfort. Suddenly, noise outside. They check the cameras. Agents are closing in. They wipe the computers and flee through the back. On the highway, they think they're safe until bullets rip through their car. Charlie survives, but Davies is hit, brutally. He escapes to a parking lot, heart shattered, and realizes Davies is gone. He holds her close, whispering goodbye. For days, he's consumed by grief. Sarah's death, Davies' sacrifice, it all crashes down. One day, a message pings on Inquilin's phone. Elish has taken the bait. Davies had posed as a buyer, and now the weapons dealer is ready to meet. Charlie heads to Romania, setting the trap. When Elish arrives at the rendezvous point, he finds a phone and a box waiting for him. The phone rings. He answers. A voice tells him the payment is inside the box, but when he opens it, boom, explosives. Charlie steps out of the shadows and warns him, if you move or shut the box, it detonates. He introduces himself as the husband of the woman murdered in London and promises to deactivate the bomb if Elish gives up Schiller. Elish tries to play dumb, but the pressure mounts. Finally, he cracks Schiller's hiding on a ship in the Baltic Sea. He hands over his phone, packed with contact info for Schiller's crew. Charlie takes it and walks away. No code, no mercy. Seconds later, kaboom! The box explodes and Elish is gone. Charlie heads to Primorsky, a port in Russia, and begins tracking Schiller's ship. He watches the smugglers unload contraband, snapping photos from the shadows. One morning, he returns and asks the local man if he saw the crew. The man grows agitated, mutters something in Russian, and before Charlie can react, someone knocks him out cold. He wakes up surrounded by goons dragged straight to Schiller. The man he's hunted for months. Schiller stays calm, asks who sent him. Charlie says he's alone, driven by vengeance. Schiller shrugs, calls Sarah's death a necessary sacrifice to escape the police. Charlie seethes. Schiller reminds him of the bodies he left behind. Maybe they're not so different. Then Schiller hands him a loaded gun. If you want revenge, take it. Charlie raises the weapon but freezes. He can't pull the trigger. He drops the gun. And the ship suddenly shifts course. Schiller's eyes narrow. Charlie smirks. He's hijacked the vessel. Schiller scoffs. Impossible. The system was built by the CIA. But Charlie reveals the truth. He helped design the encryption. Using the contact numbers from Alicia's phone, he accessed the ship's internal network and slipped through a hidden back door. He's rerouted the ship to Finland. Schiller is stunned. Before he can act, Finnish police and Interpol swarm the vessel. The terrorists are arrested, every last one. Cut to Samantha at a press conference. She announces that senior CIA officials have violated agency ethics and international law. Moore and Caleb are arrested for unauthorized operations abroad. Then she drops the final bombshell. The whistleblower is alive and working with the agency. It's Charlie. Later, Charlie meets Henderson, still alive after the hotel ambush. Charlie thanks him for the training. Henderson replies, "What you did can't be taught." Charlie visits Sarah's grave, silent and solemn. Then he returns home and finishes restoring the old plane, the one she gifted him. The final scene. The plane lifts off, slicing through the sky. Charlie flies into a new beginning, finally letting go of the pain that haunted him.